What's going on, guys? It's your boy Burrow77 coming to you live with another We Outside Wednesday for college hoops. We got 44 games tipping off at 6 p.m. Eastern time. We're going to jump right into the slate, starting with a little review of how we did on Saturday. The show did great. 3-2, Seton Hall. We'll like to see a little bit more fight out of them. They let that game get out of control after being up in the first half. Marquette just stormed out of the second half and really stuck it to Hall there. So Hall on a little bit of a downswing. Boston College on the money line gets the outright win for us. Butler on the money line as well. Triple overtime against Nova. Hell of a game. Posh Alexander, like I was talking about earlier, he had a horrible night in regulation from the floor, but comes up huge with rebounds and free throws late, especially in overtime, and puts the game away. So love seeing good guard play, especially late there from a guy who struggled from the floor all day. Posh Alexander getting it done for Butler Bulldogs at home. Dayton takes a rough loss to Richmond, who we are going to circle back and talk some more about later. But Dayton played really tough, doesn't cover the -2.5, doesn't get the win. Richmond ends up winning that by, I want to say, 4. And then VCU goes on the road and gets us a money line win there. So that was very nice to see. Saturday's show, as I mentioned, 3-2 for plus 0.44 units. That brings the college basketball show record to 16-1-19 for minus 2.26 units. We had a very good day in Discord, though. We grabbed some live action. We ended up going 8-2 on Saturday, bringing our 23-24 season total to 101-3-90 for plus 3.15 units. Still a little ground to recover and make up here in 2024, being 37-2-43 since the new year, but we have been slowly adding to that total, and it's been doing us well. We'll jump right into the slate for tonight. We have the Alabama Crimson Tide on the road going to play the Georgia Bulldogs at 6:30 p.m. over on the SEC network. Georgia catching 6 at home, and I love this. Georgia has been a road cover wagon for us recently. They managed to go on the road. They were down almost 30 in Kentucky, dug it out, got us the cover there this weekend as well. They were down big to Florida. They showed a lot of heart, stayed in it, got hot, made their free throws, made it competitive, even went to overtime, and then still managed to get us a road dog cover, which we have been struggling with, especially when games go to overtime. So the Bulldogs have been taking great care of us on the number. I don't know if they can win outright here. It would be awesome. Bama has struggled on the road, and Georgia's playing really good basketball right now. So Bulldogs in their own building are definitely live dogs here, but I'm going to take the points. And that's because Georgia gets to the free throw line. They shoot a ton of free throws. And like I have been saying the last few weeks, they have been making more and more of them. Bama, when they get to the free throw line, they knock them down. They're one of the top 10 teams in the country at knocking them down. But Georgia is really going to need to limit Marcus Sears and his 43.7% three-point shooting. And I say limit, not stop, because Marcus Sears is probably a top 10 player in the country. He's playing super well right now, and you're just going to have to limit what he can do for Bama. You're also going to need to keep sophomore Ryan Griffin, who is a small forward and gets a couple of minutes here and there at power forward in foul trouble, and keep him on the bench. He's a really good player for Bama, but he does come off the bench as kind of a six-man and a rotational guy, seeing less than 25% of playing time on the floor. So Georgia, they will do well to limit Alabama's trips to the free throw line because of such a high clip that the Crimson Tide knocked them down. Georgia needs another great team defensive outing here. They have dug themselves out of several 20-plus point holes in their last 5 games. Like I said, it sucks when you see them go down and they're chasing, but this team has a lot of heart and they always stay in these games. They have multiple guys step up like RJ, Melendez, Silas Demiri, and Jabari Abdur-Rahim. I'm sorry if I butchered those names, but Georgia gets a lot of contributions from multiple different positions here. They have a ton of guys who are comfortable stepping up and being the guy and carrying the weight. And both teams here are sharpshooters. They shoot the 3 ball exceptionally well. Alabama loves to shoot the transition 3. They like to get wide open looks. They like to shoot them in transition. They aren't afraid to put the ball on the floor and take it to the hole, but that's not where they do their best shooting. They are looking for contact down there, and Georgia does well at defending vertically, so we got to keep them off the line. And Georgia is going to need to put in a team effort, especially down low in the paint. They need to rebound well. They need to force turnovers, especially like they did late in that Florida game. They need to shoot well. They need to score in the paint where Georgia's comfortable going to work and getting contact and getting to the line. So I look for this Georgia Bulldogs team to give Alabama a big shakeup here on the road. Bama's been feeling really comfortable. They've just gotten some really nice dominant wins in their building against Auburn. I think it's time for the Bulldogs to give them a true road test down here in the SEC. No love lost between these teams. It's going to be a very tough building to play ball in. Keeping it moving, we're going to Richmond at Fordham over on ESPN Plus at 7 p.m. Richmond, -2.5 here, had an absolutely outstanding W at home against Dayton. The Spiders are no strangers to winning on the road. We backed them on the money line and with the points against Loyola Chicago. We backed them on the money line and with the points against several other teams this season. Richmond's been a moneymaker for us. They are 7-0 in conference play. They need to build on this momentum. They need to build on this Dayton W. And the A-10 plays really, really tough basketball, as I mentioned over the weekend. So to keep climbing up the rankings and keep grabbing a bunch of national attention, you have to build off of that Dayton W and get another win here on the road against a scrappy Fordham team. Richmond, they're going to need to clean up on the glass again, even though they struggle mightily on the offensive glass. They do a decent job on the defensive end. Richmond is elite when it comes to ball security. They're number 1 in the nation. They do not turn the ball over, and they create a lot of turnovers. They're number 9 in the country at creating steals, which they typically are able to turn into transition buckets and score quickly off of. So the X factor of creating turnovers here is very heavily in the Spiders' favor. They, as I mentioned, they're undefeated in conference play and have that huge head-to-head win over Dayton. Fordham is scrappy. They're always going to play tough. It's a small gym, but it can get very loud when the fans show out. I just think Fordham just flat out sucking at the free throw line and not being able to get rebounds isn't a way to win with any sort of consistency in the A-10. Richmond, as we know, likes to slow the pace of play down, and Fordham likes to get out and play fast. I think Richmond is going to have a better job, a better time controlling the pace of play and being in control in this one. Richmond, they make their threes and they defend the three-point arc well. So it's going to be very tough to dig yourself out of a hole if you're Fordham by not, playing against a tough 3-ball defense, a team that rebounds, especially on the defensive end, your offensive end, well. So you're not going to create a lot of second chance opportunities. And you suck at the free throw line. So give me the Spiders in this one to keep it moving. They're going to go to 8-0 in conference play. They're going to cover this number. Love getting this inside a full 3-point possession. This is big when it comes to fouls late in tight games, which Richmond has played a lot of. When Richmond's in control and they're dominating the game, these are typically low scoring, low possession rock fights. So keep that in mind as well as you look at this number. be very wary of playing -3s for pushes and -3.5 and going outside of a full possession here. Last but not least, I have a skinny slate. This one is a projections. This is an analytics play. I'm not going to sit here and pretend I know a whole ton about UNC Asheville and Gardner Webb outside of what I see from analytics, statistics. This is Big South basketball. The cream of the crop down here is really a High Point and Winthrop. Both of these teams do have head-to-head wins over Winthrop, which is impressive. UNC's Asheville's, I think, is more impressive because they were able to go into Winthrop's building and beat them, whereas Gardner Webb beat Winthrop in their own building. But anyway, UNC Asheville also has a win over Appalachian State, who I respect. Gardner Webb has been hot, winning their last 5, but I don't super rate a ton of their competition. Like I mentioned, Winthrop I do rate. Radford is meh, and everybody else I just don't rate, and they should have waxed. UNC makes their free throws at a 74.7% clip. That's good enough to be top 75 in the country. I want to say it's 68, and they get to the line a ton. So I hope these guys are able to draw contact, get to the line, knock down their free throws. Gardner Webb makes free throws at an abysmal 65.1%. That is good enough for number 337 in the nation. So there's a major discrepancy in the free throws here. UNC Asheville, when they take threes and they step outside, they make their threes. They knock the three ball down at a 36.9% clip. That's good enough for number 41 in the nation, but they love to work inside. They like to work the post. They get in the paint, they draw contact, and they make and ones. So that's what I'm looking for here. Gardner Webb can't rebound at all, so I like UNC Asheville to clean up the glass here. And the biggest thing that Gardner Webb has going for them is the X factor, and they're going to need to lean on steals and creating transition buckets. So if UNC can stay secure with the ball here, I believe that they win this game. I think they win it outright. I'm going to take the +2 here, +2.5 at some shops. You can wait and see what the market does. But these are my 3 best plays for Wednesday night. There's a ton of other good games that we will get to talk about. I will bring up all the leans and I will highlight marquee games that I think are very sharp and I haven't committed to taking a side or a position on, but we'll talk about them while we have them here. Alabama at Georgia, tipping off early 6:30 start over on the SEC network. We're going back the Bulldogs at home here, +6. They've been a cover monster for us. Give me the Bulldogs in a tight, thrilling SEC matchup at home. Richmond at Fordham. Richmond Spiders just beat Dayton. They're undefeated in A10 conference play. They need to build on this momentum. They need to continue to climb the national rankings. I think the A10 is going to put multiple teams into the NCAA tournament this year. We'll see how many bids they get. This is a very tough conference, and it's very fun, electric basketball to watch. We've been talking about them all season. UNC Asheville on the road at Gardner Webb. Asheville +2. I'm probably going to take the money line as well. I like the analytics here. I like the projections. I like the model and where I have this forecasted. UNC Asheville, I think they're just doing the things right that's going to take to win on the road. Let's get into a few leans as I finish off a nice sip from my beer. College basketball leans. St. John's takes on Xavier. I don't love the number here. I do think this is a nice bounce back spot for Xavier after getting absolutely manhandled by UConn. St. John's on the road always gives me a little bit of concern. I like the under here if I'm taking a position in this game. 155.5 just seems a touch high. The freshmen for Xavier are inconsistent. Yes, they're at home. Yes, this is a bounce back spot. They are very streaky. If they get hot, they could blow this under relatively early, but I think this is a really big number at 155.5. Free throws, John sucks at making them, so it's tough to kind of run up the score when you're not hitting your free throws. And Johns, I think, here can benefit from slowing the pace. It's not typically their style of the two. They like to play faster, but with their experience being on the road, I think that slowing the pace and limiting Xavier's possessions and their desire to bounce back after that ass whipping they took from UConn, I think that benefits Johns. So if we see that sort of play style, I really like the under here. Baylor -2.5 at UCF. Listen, Baylor, if you lose 4 in a row, you're big time fucked. I don't know a better way to say this, but if you drop, I know how tough the Big 12 is. I know how tough that conference is. I know how tough your schedule's been. But if you drop 4 in a row on the road in UCF, where they're very good, you're in big time trouble come tournament time, come conference tournament time, come selections. A lot of people still have you projected in the top 25. I don't know how you stay anywhere close to the top 25 if you're coming off of 4 losses in a row. So give me the Baylor Bears to bounce back. They should be the better basketball team here. They need to prove it on the road. Wake Forest on the money line at Pittsburgh. I know how tough of a building it is to go try and get a win in Pitt. I just think Wake Forest plays a really good brand of basketball that's difficult to beat on the road. They've burned us a couple of times, but I hate Pitt. I hate their inconsistency. I hate how they love to just choke away winnable games at the free throw line. And Wake Forest needs a statement road win in a competitive ACC here. So give me Wake Forest on the money line in a very, very tight 50-50 coin flip game. A couple of the other games we can touch on, Cincy versus Westva, I think is going to be an absolutely awesome game. I do like Cincy here. I don't love coughing up over the -3 because Westva is such a tough building to play in. Wichita State Shockers at Tulsa. Listen, the Shockers just suck this year, especially away from their own building. Tulsa should win that game. Spreads, razor thin. It's +2/-1 there. Tulsa at home, laying a point. I don't know. Just take the money line, lay the juice there, in my opinion. A couple other good games worth mentioning. I don't know if this is going to be good, but Notre Dame on the road at Virginia. Virginia should handle their business here. My projections like this, they have it being a much closer game. I can see Virginia completely dominating this game, though, with how they play defense and Notre Dame's entire reliance on the three-point ball. But Notre Dame's been scrappy lately, and I think 13.5 points is just a huge spread. I think Notre Dame can cover this as long as the 3 ball's dropping on the road. I don't do it often, but that might be a spot to look at Notre Dame, who has been playing pretty decent basketball lately. Next up, Indiana State at Belmont. This is sitting at -8.5 right now. Indiana State should blow Belmont out, even though they are on the road. I think this is one of the few times you'll see a decent number on Indiana State. If you can get like -7.5, I would much prefer to be inside 8. I don't want to lay the -8.5, but this will be tempting tomorrow if we are still seeing -8. It opened up around -9.5 and is taking some action on Belmont. So I like our chances to maybe see a -8 or a -7.5 to entice some more betting there. Florida versus Kentucky rematch. This is going to be awesome. As you know, we backed Kentucky on the road when they got an outright W as dogs in the swamp. Florida, they just can't make their free throws. They make a lot of 3 balls, but Kentucky should win this. I'm seeing -5.5 now, which is a better number. When I went to go publish this game, it was at -6.5. I might have talked about this one and put it into rotation at -5.5. I do think Kentucky can close that kind of a number. Missouri State on the road at SIU. This is a big number. I think Missouri State +7 definitely is worth a look here. Missouri State's playing really good basketball. They've gotten some good wins in their building and on the road. SIU, as we know, is a live and die by the three-ball team. They just got a massive comeback win on the road, though, so they could build some momentum here. I just have no interest in laying -6.5 or -7 on the Salukis. I think if you're going to take a position, Missouri State playing good basketball on the road can cover a +7 here. I don't know if they win outright, but I think they can cover a +7. Last but not least, Arkansas at Missouri. This is a tough one. As I told you, the must bust, the wheels are flat. Missouri -4.5 in their own building. I think they can get it done. One more, I'll throw at you real quick, is Penn State at Rutgers. Rutgers plays way better at home and way better in their own building. I'm just not sure they cover -6.5. I have this one projecting a lot closer to +3 than I do plus or -6.5. So maybe look at Penn State there, but they've been asked this season as well. That's it for me. I think that covers kind of all the big games or all the marquee games, at least a lot of the big conference games that I know people want to hear about. I love talking college hoops. If I didn't talk about a game you want to talk about, make sure you leave it in the comments below. I will be sure to respond. You can also follow me on Twitter, on Instagram. Drop me any sort of comments or come talk shit with me on college basketball there. I love interacting with people. I like college hoops. I watch college hoops all the time. I have Miami versus NC State right now on. So if you see my eyes keep flicking up, that's why I'm checking the score of Miami game. I'm trying to get them to close a +4 here. So yeah, love talking college hoops. Appreciate all the support. Appreciate everybody who tunes in every week. We are going to keep doing these. Come the end of the month, we have conference tournaments starting. And then in about 6-7 weeks, we have Selection Sunday and March Madness. We are going to have content all throughout March Madness, brackets. We're going to have all sorts of stuff. I might even get a guest or two in here, so stay tuned. Appreciate the support. And that's it. That's Talking Hoops with Oaks. Later.